everyone, my name is Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. This is SavorySewing. You can also find me on Instagram at SavorySewing. A Flosstube channel is a YouTube channel where folks talk about cross stitch. So that's what we'll do today. What they've been stitching, what they want to stitch, what they want to buy for stitching, all of those things. So welcome. It is Sunday, July 14th, 2024. And I think this is Flosstube 27, 28, somewhere around there. I'm not quite sure. Last week I filmed a little Flosstube extra, if anyone caught it. I did a flip through of the 2024 Halloween issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. It was really hot here and it seemed like a fun thing to do on a Friday night when I had no other plans. So anyway, if you watched it, thank you. I realized that top-down filming is more difficult than I was anticipating. So hopefully it worked out okay. And I didn't realize, I think in hindsight, there are some things I would have done better. But I don't know if a lot of top-down filming is in my future with the current situation that I have here, which you can't see, but there's a situation. Other than that, the last 2 weeks have been hot here in Oregon. We had a little heat wave. It was 100 plus, at least at my house, for 5 days in a row. And now we're down in like the 90s and it feels, amazing in comparison. And I will say that has not limited my stitching, but, because actually when it's hot out, the only thing I want to do is sit in front of the AC and stitch because it's too hot to be outside and all of that. So I do have progress on a few whips and even some finishes and fully finishes and a few new starts. I don't have a lot of haul. I do have a few things, so we'll do that. And then of course plans. It is the middle of July, so we'll see. I think I've not accomplished most of the plans that I have set out for this month. But yeah, let's get into the stitching. We can talk about all that later. All right, so the first fully finished item I have is this little guy. This is a Barbara Anna from, I believe, the 2023 issue of Punch Needle and 2023 spring edition of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, and it's called Spring Parade. So it's those cute little witches and those dandelions. Those dandelions were a pain in the butt. A lot of, can you see? A lot of little single stitches and all of that back stitching. But how cute is that? This is stitched on, it was an ornament cut from Under the Sea Fabrics. I can't remember the name of the color, maybe Boardwalk. And it's stitched in, it's not stitched in all the called for. I think it's just some of it and then some of it just randomly. Like if I needed an orange, I just grabbed an orange off the wall because with only like that few number of stitches, it really didn't matter if the colors were exact. I stitched this because I saw Sarah from I Swear I'm Stitching it, and it was so cute that I pulled it out and immediately stitched it. And I just finished it in this little hoop. I think this is a 4-inch hoop, and I just put fabric on the back, and it's just gonna hang out here on the wall. It's just cute. And then my next finish, I'm actually going to call this a fully finished because I don't think I'm going to turn it into a pillow, is this. I stitched this on the 4th of July, start and finish. This is on 30, it's either 32 or 36 count vintage country mocha. And it says, "With fear for our democracy, I dissent." This is a quote from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. This was charted by Julie from Julie and Stitches 16. And I just felt like it was fitting. I've seen a number of other folks chart this quote. I know Witch's Garden Crafts has a version, right? Yeah, that you can get in their Facebook group. And then Michelle from Bendy Stitchy Designs also charted this, as well as just I Dissent from 2 years ago as well. And I believe those are available in the free part of her Patreon. So 2 fully finished items. next I have a couple new starts. So it is July, so Christmas in July stitching is sort of in full swing. I've got kind of a mix of things here, but some of it's Christmassy. For 2024, I had planned out 24 new starts, and in my last video, I talked about, you know, what I was thinking about was going to be one of my Christmas starts for July, and I was indecisive about which one it was going to be. Well, I can tell you now which one it was. This is Doodles Christmas. I'll put a picture here, but I also have the pattern from Heart and Hand. I started this because it was ready to go. No, I will definitely start the other one, which is Arranging Ornaments from Ink Circles, but this one, everything was just kitted and it was an easy start. Plus, these are really simple, easy stitches. The Ink Circle, or excuse me, the Heart and Hand Doodles. And I needed easy stitching. So here's where I started in the middle. You can see there's some places where I'm still working. I started with that little tree, worked up to the Christmas ornament, worked on the stocking and on that little ball. I was just all over the place with whatever colors I had out. I went to those spots. So this is Seraphim Fabrics Winter Woolens. I think it's a 36 count. And I'm stitching it with all the called for classic colorworks because I have them. I found that with the Heart and Hand patterns is she's a color palette, very much so. And so usually if you've bought them once, most of her other patterns you can stitch without having to buy more threads, especially when they're as tiny as these little doodles are. So that was one of my new starts. This month. And then my second new start, I just started this morning. This is, I'm going to show you the whole thing first. This is from Dee's 20 Stitches. This is there's thread on there. This is the Stitch for Pride 2024 stitch along project that they're hosting. This is what it looks like completely, or so far. And this, each month's pattern is inspired by a queer artist. So Dee will design something that represents their art in some way, and then he also provides us with some learning about the artist. And I will put a picture in here as well of this month's pattern because I don't have very much stitched. This is inspired by the artist Jeffrey Gibson, who is a, shoot, I should have pulled this up so I could read it to you. Hold on one second. I'll show you my stitching while I fumble through to find this description. I find it's more eloquent when I read what Dee wrote, because Dee already did a great job describing these folks, and when I try to paraphrase it for myself, and then I just sound silly. So hold on one second. So Jeffrey Gibson is a multimedia artist who is of Cherokee descent and is a member of the Choctaw Band. His work, which uses traditional textile forms, aims to celebrate and amplify the voices of Indigenous, Two-Spirit, and queer communities of both the past and present. And that's where I am. So this is stitched on 36 count elegant from Fortnite Fabrics. And this is the floss for this month. This was dyed by KN Yarns. And you can see it's turquoise and a little bit of dark green. And this is where I am. I just have that first band on. And then I was going to say, like, the other thing I noticed this morning is I forgot that I was stitching this 2 over 2 instead of 1 over 2 because I had been stitching 1 over 2. And so I need to decide this one is 1 over 2. And then the next, when I figured out my mistake, I just kept going because I did not feel like frogging. So I need to decide if I'm going to frog that or if I'm just going to leave it. I don't think from a distance you can really tell that it's a little bit lighter, but we'll see. I will also say that I'm having this floss, when flosses are dyed the way these flosses are, I find them to be very challenging because the way I cut it, I don't know if you can see. I don't know if it's going to be worth me showing you this, but if you split them apart, so you've got one half of it is very, very much just the turquoise, and then you just have a lot of green here. And I really couldn't cut it any other way without having a bunch of funky different length bits. But I think for me anyway, trying to make sure that transitions look sort of smooth, which I like. If you don't care, then I don't know if it matters, is challenging, but it's super pretty. Like I really like the green bits. I wish there were more green bits, my only complaint, but it's gorgeous. So one more view of this just because it's pretty. Yeah, I love this. I love it so much. I hope a number of you, if you did not get it in December when it was first released, were able to grab it at the end of last month when Dee had it open for a minute. All right, so those are my 2 new starts. Tuck those out of the way. And now we'll move on to whips. So my plan for July stitching was to work on anything that was patriotic or Christmas. And I've mostly done that. With a few exceptions. I've got some stitch alongs that aren't patriotic and Christmas. Obviously, you just saw Stitch for Bride. So this one is also a Barbara Anna. I think I showed this last video as part of my plans. This is called Winter Stitching, and it is from a magazine. There will have been a picture here that has which magazine it is. I feel like it's just Cross Stitch Winter 21, February 21 or something like that. And I did get a day or 2 on this. I would really like to finish this month. We'll see if that's possible. But I think it looks really beautiful. I'm not going to stitch. There's words on the bottom that say winter stitching. I don't think I'm going to stitch them. But it looks nice. I think I worked down here since you last saw it. And I worked on getting the border almost complete. But yeah. Oh, it's stitched in the called for DMC so far, and this is oh, I can't remember what it's called. Like it's like sparkle gray linen. It's either Witchelt or Zweigart. It's like a pre-printed linen, and I think in the called or in the picture it's on like a neutral tan color. But I thought it would look pretty on this gray, and I think it does. All right, so that's winter stitching. Next pattern is from Lindy Stitches. This is a stitch for Sweet Freedom, and I got quite a bit done on her. I had almost thought about just working on nothing else but this for like through the 4th of July weekend and getting it finished, but that didn't end up happening. But this is what I got done. I think I didn't have any of this or this done, or it was very little of it, and then I brought up some more words. So I'm stitching this with some of the called for, and the stuff that's not called for is like, if it was a blue, it's still a blue, or a red and a red. And this is 36 count acid wash by Forbidden Fiber Co. And I think this is really pretty. One thing that I think is going to be a problem is I started stitching these words with an overdyed, and I'm about to run out, and I don't want to buy more. So I need to figure out how I'm going to solve that problem. I'm hoping I can find a DMC that matches very closely, but I might have to rip out all the words and redo them. We'll see. I don't really want to buy a new skein of that floss. So that was whip number 2. Whip number 3 is another Barbara Anna. I think we've got 3 Barbara Annas in this Flosstube so far. I think that's all I've got total, but excuse me. And this is Santa's Trips. I love this pattern. I really want to get it done. This was a stitch along, I think in like 20 or 21. I purchased it after it came out and have just been slowly working my way through it ever since. And here's where I am. I brought some of this down and filled in. I think I was missing some of the berries here. And then I put these little green leaves in, and then I started working on this block. And I think this is just 1, maybe 2 days of stitching. So this might not get any more love this month because my goal was just to give all of my holiday whips just a day or so. But we'll see. This is stitched on, it's steel from, oh goodness, it's either Picture This Plus or Fiber on a Whim, because inevitably I cannot keep the two of those straight, even though I try. And it's stitched with all the called for DMC. Oh no, I'm completely wrong. It's Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim, not steel. And it's on 40 count. All the called for DMC. So pretty. Excellent Christmas in July project. I actually started this, I think, in July of, let's see, I've got my notion here. I started this July 4th, 2022. So it needs to get finished. If it doesn't get finished, it's already on my WIPGO board this year. If it doesn't get finished this year, it's definitely going on WIPGO next year. Which I've already started plotting out my 2025 WIPGO board, which feels, one, I'm not ready for it to be 2025, and two, like, I need to figure out what I'm going to get done this year so that I know what can go on my WIPGO board. And what I don't want to be on my WIP board, I need to get done this year. So that's kind of why I've started plotting. Yeah, crazy. All right, next is this pattern from Noctiflora Designs. This is Be Queer, Do Stitchcraft. This was part of a Stitch for Pride, Summer Pride bundle in what year is that, 24? I think I bought this in 2022 because I think I started this in 2022. Gosh, is this a 2022 WIP as well? I started a lot of things in 2022 I haven't finished. Let's see. Oh no, 2023. So this has only been a year old. I started this June 26, 2023. So she's not that old. I'm stitching this on Lugana from Forbidden Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in the color Razzmatazz, which gorgeous. I'm stitching it with DMC 310, and then the variegated blue here, blue purple here, and the threads, that is Auntie D by Classic Colorworks. And I got all of Stitchcraft done. I think I got like all of these letters, and then I put in that needle and those pins, and I started this spool. So not too much left on this. This is great for when I'm tired or when I want to stitch outside, because I only have to take one color with me. All right. Next WIP is this one. This is Twilight Nature Walk by Sprouting Lupine Designs. I started this last month. Yeah, I started this in June, and I worked on it a little bit more this month. And this is where I am. This is stitched on Gray Mauve Lugana from, is it Zweigart? Yeah, it's Zweigart. It's one of they're pretty colored ones. It's a 30, I want to say it's a 32 count. And I'm stitching it with all the called for DMC. And yeah, I just really like this. It's pretty. It packs a lot of punch for you know, basic. It's not basic, but like it's a simple design, but it's very, very impactful. And I really like the color palette. Next, I worked on one of my WIPGO goals for this month. And I don't have a great digital photo of this, so I'm going to show you the magazine. This is from Just Cross Stitch, the Halloween 2020 issue. Or is it Halloween? Yeah. And this is called Don't Be Scared. It's this little trick-or-treat scene. This was a WIPGO call, and so I've got 2 of the 3 days I need to get done on this. Done. Original artwork by Kim Leo of Kim's Cottage Art, and the cross-stitch adaptation was by Elizabeth Spurlock. And here is where I am. This is 14 count Flapper Ada from Picture This Plus. Go way back, and then I will come up so you can see the details. This is a really pretty fabric. This is a very soft Ada. And what I got done this month is I started putting in some back stitching. I added this little trick-or-treater and Mr. Skeleton Man here, and then I've been working on this tree and also more on the moon. I'd like to get this done. I'm just done stitching it. There's just a lot of stitching left. I didn't realize until I was looking, but like the moon goes all the way down here to the other side of that tree. So that's all fill in. And then basically from here over, that's all fill in. So, and it's not like, some of it's like long lines, but they're still counting to be done. So yeah, excited. Maybe I'll get this done this year. This is definitely on the dream list for a finish in 2024, so I don't have to bring it into 2025. And then one more whip for this month. Yesterday was the 13th. I did actually work on Away We Ride, or excuse me, not Away We Ride. Well, spoilers. I did work on Don't Be Scared yesterday in the morning for some dark 13 stitching, and then last night I pulled out Away We Ride. So Away We Ride is by Blackbird Designs, photo here. And I started this with Jen from Jen's Fiber Web. We started this, I think, on April 13th. And she started with the house in the middle, and I started in the bottom left, is my preference. And I'm just going to leave it folded because that's all I have. That's all the stitching there is, so you don't need to see a giant plain piece of fabric. This is 36 count vintage country mocha. Yeah, it is. I was going to stitch it on a gray, and then I bulked when it came to started and switched to vintage country mocha. And I'm stitching it with mostly the called for. Here are my threads. I have some of them. I don't have all of them, so I'm subbing Classic Colorworks using the DMC where I didn't have the called for. I did buy the Gast Garden Gate because it called for 3 skeins, and I didn't know what it looked like. I knew it was variegated, and it's hard to tell from the DMC, but it is really pretty. I think it was worth it. It is the color of all of these leafy viney things around the border. So that's where I am so far. I got a lot done yesterday stitching on this. I'm almost all the way across. There are 5 of these leafy things, and that's the width of the pattern plus then the quarter. So 1, 2, or excuse me, I've stitched 5-ish. There are 7 total, and then the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there'll be 2 more, and then the corner goes up. And then right above here, this is the center. The house will sit right here. Oh, made some good progress. All right, so I did stitch on some of my Christmas stuff, but I think that's the big thing for plans going forward is I have a number of Christmas whips that did not get touched yet, which is fine. Let's see, let me pull up my list. Well, actually, that's not even true because I really don't have very many Christmas whips. I have 2 that haven't gotten touched yet, or 1. Maybe only 1. Is it just vintage, ladies? Let's see what the bags say. Yeah, that's it. So I've got 1 Christmas whip that hasn't gotten touched yet. And then I have a bunch of new starts that I had planned that I have not started. So I'm going to start Hibernation Day by Heartstring Samplery. And I'm going to start The 4th Day of Christmas by Hello from Liz Mathews. So those are my 2. Hibernation Day is one of my planned 24 and 24 new starts. 4th Day of Christmas I just am starting because it needs to get started or I'm never going to finish all 12 of those. And I'm going to start Autumn Cloche, also by Hello from Liz Mathews, for Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe's birthday. She asked that folks stitch Hello from Liz Mathews charts for her birthday. So I will be starting that hopefully on, well, her birthday is Tuesday. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to start on Tuesday because I'm traveling and I'm not sure I want to take it with me, but we'll see. But those are the new starts that are planned. My Whip Go calls, they were Don't Be Scared, which needs 1 more day. And then the Pro Choice Stitch Along from the Notorious Needle, that needs 3 days. That hasn't gotten any days. So that needs to happen. What have we got? We've got 17 days left in the month of July. This is all doable, totally doable. And then, so I am traveling next week. I have to go to Salt Lake City for work all week. So I plan on taking some of my easier whips with me. I will be taking Stitch for Pride, Be Queer, Do Stitchcraft. I might take the, what's it called? the Forest Fairy Tale Sal by Quaternion Creations, just because it's also basically monochromatic, and so it's easy to pack and easy to stitch on. I won't take anything that needs, nothing on 40 count, nothing that needs, 27 colors, just because it's not worth it. Yeah, so those are my plans for stitching. Other than that, let's talk about haul very briefly, because I don't have a ton. Really the only thing I think I've bought in the last 2 weeks was about a pattern. I'm joining a stitch along from Fine Frog Stitching called Plants and Petrichor. They are the one who, she did, what is it, Femurs and Fungi, that a lot of folks are stitching, which looks super cool. I just didn't want to stitch bones. And it's very cute, but not all there are lots of other fungi out there besides, mushrooms. Just as a plant pathologist, folks, there are other mushrooms. So I'm going to stitch that. Well, I'm planning on, I think the stitch along, I think the first drop of like the oh gosh, there's like a window and some, if I can find a photo, I will put it in here. Shelving. I think August 2nd is the day the first pattern comes out. So I got that. And then I also, I joined a new Patreon. I was watching Michelle Bendy Stitch You this morning, and she mentioned that she was in Dying for Sass's Patreon, which I did not know existed. And so I decided to join. Dying for Sass, they're the ones, I bought this thread a while back. And some other, did I buy other? Oh, I did. I bought some other threads from them as well. This is the Goth Rainbow, which I think is super pretty. And so I have a love-hate relationship with my Patreons. One, I love them because they're fun, and I like seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff. And then I also hate them because I have a lot of guilt built up about not stitching all the patterns. At least for the ones that I'm on the pattern level of. And so I'm going to try a floss Patreon, because I think getting like one floss a month and getting behind the scenes stuff, I might feel, it might be fun, it might not be fun. But anyway, Dying for Sass has Patreon. Her floss is really pretty. And then next, I've got, I don't know if this counts as haul, but next weekend, Friday and Saturday, is Lindy Stitches is hosting the Midsummer Stitch, which you probably, if you on Instagram and follow her or a lot of other floss tubers, is happening. And it looks like there's going to be some floss tubers hosting stitching rooms, which is fun. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend on Friday. I think it starts at, it's in Eastern. Does it start at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is noon Oregon time? And I will be flying home from Salt Lake City. Well, and I'm working till 5 in theory. So I'm not sure how that lines up with what any of the events that are happening on Friday, but we'll see. Yeah, so that is all of my haul. I've been watching a lot of whip parades. It has been whip parades, mid-year whip parade season, which has been fun. Who have I watched? Cross Stitch the Globe. Stephanie Allison had a 2-part epic whip parade. Jen from Jen's Fiber Web and Stephanie from Frala Knits both had shorter whip parades, but they sorted their whips as they went, and so, which I enjoyed seeing their how they decided what they were going to keep or put in timeout or get rid of. So that was fun. Miriam from Roomy Crafts. I watched Peacock Stitchers. I watched Katie's this morning. And Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. I've been watching her forever, so it's fun to see these old whips that I like remember from like 3 years ago come out. And she's like, oh, I haven't touched this. It's like, I remember when you started that. Helen from Helen D. I think those are all the whip parades I watched. I also watched some new to me floss tubers who've shouted me out. Thank you for the shout outs. I went and watched y'all and subscribed. I watched Maria the Green Stitcher, who was absolutely delightful. I'm glad you enjoy all of my spooky stitching. I watched Jill from Stitch and Books. She has some nice whips, some things I hadn't seen before, different style, and she lives in LA. And then I watched a few episodes of The Shaky Stitcher. I think her name is Justine. She's also stitching Away We Ride. When Jen had 2 copies, Jen from Jen's Fiber Web, and she did a giveaway, and Justine won the giveaway. So she's also started, and she started like Jen did with the house in the middle. So I think that's everyone I've been watching. Speaking of whip parades, I will be doing one in August because I did one last August. So we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my Flosstube channel. I dropped my first episode July 31st of 2023. So my next episode, as long as, life doesn't get in the way, will be next 2 weeks from now, which will be the 28th or the 29th. Usually the 28th is Sunday. Usually I publish on Sundays. And so we'll do a little 1-year Flosstube celebration. And then my second Flosstube, which came out sometime in early August of last year, I did a whip parade. So Flosstube number 2 on my channel was a whip parade. And so my plan is to do a whip parade same time this year to see how many whips maybe I still have that I had in my original whip parade. I don't think it's too many. I think I did pretty good getting things finished. I still have a lot of whips. I counted in prep for that, and I have, as of today, I have 50. Ooh, no, I have 51 because I started the Stitch for Pride piece this morning. So I have 51, which is fine. But I don't think I had that many last year. All right, I think that's all I've got. I hope you all are having a nice week wherever you are. The weather is pleasant and not either scorching hot or freezing cold. And I will see you all in 2 weeks. Happy stitching, folks. Goodbye.